Welcome back. Now, it's no longer news that individuals, especially our local politicians, stash huge amounts of money illegally abroad. An estimated $50 billion is lost annually to illicit financial flow in Africa, with funds stolen from Nigeria and taken outside the country, accounting for most of the monies. Now, that's according to a new report on illicit financial flow from Nigeria, which, of course, has linked about 10 former Nigerian governors to properties worth £56 million in the United Kingdom alone. The report, presented by a coalition of Nigerian civil society organizations led by the Human and Environmental Development Agenda header, also shows 213 properties are owned by 13 Nigerian law enforcement officers in the United Arab Emirates. Now, just to give you a clear idea of what that means, we're talking about law enforcement officers. So we're talking about the police officers, military officers, and what have you, custom officials. Just mention them. So this is quite shocking. Now, joining me to shed more light on the report is Dr. Gbenga Oduton, who is of the Kent Law School, that's the University of Kent now. Dr. Oduton actually compiled the research report, and he joins us via Skype now from another part of Lagos. Dr. Oduton, thank you very much for joining us on the program. First off,
thank you for having me.
Could you shed more light on how you were able to put together this report and you made those discoveries? I mean, those discoveries that were made and highlighted in the report.
Thank you very much. These discoveries have been hiding in plain sight, actually. We had the opportunity of the Sandcastle data leaks, which came out in 2017-18, and the analysis, which was done by some brilliant Carnegie organization scholars like Matthew Page, who has gone into deeper analysis of these data leaks, and it's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing the extent to which our politically exposed persons, our public officials, ranging from judges to security officials.
Oh, really? There are judges actually there are judges too in your report? Have you discovered judges?
Perhaps I should put an amendment there, not judges, one judge. This is a quite precise data leak with the analysis done statistically, one judge. I don't know whether we should be proud of that or we should be alarmed.
We shouldn't be proud of that at all.
I would say we shouldn't be proud of that. But we should place things in perspective. The fact that people have properties in the UAE is not a strict liability offense. What makes it a strict liability offense is if you have that property and you have not declared it in your, the code of conduct.
And that takes me to the next question. Were you able to establish that these individuals now did not declare these properties in the forms they have with the code of conduct? That's the code of conduct office now.
Yes, in quite a number of cases. We're talking about 800 properties here, owned by about 300 plus persons, politically exposed persons. In the vast majority of cases, it's not been declared. And that's not just in the UAE's case. Again, in the UK, where there has not been a leak, the leaks are wonderful. We love leaks in the academic world and in the civil society world. But in the UK, there has not been a leak. Just by diligent searches using best forensic materials on the internet and so on and so forth, there was a voluntary declaration instrument that the government approved not too long ago, which gave people an opportunity to come clean. I think it's called the Voluntary Offshore Asset Regularization Scheme, established in 2018, which gave them an opportunity to come clean, pay some 35%.
But of course, you wouldn't expect some of these individuals now to come clean, especially when you consider the fact that, look, if there, I mean, obviously they are government officials. So the question, government officials now. So the question is, how much do government officials earn? Take, for instance, the report, of course, in your report, you said you discovered Nigerian law enforcement agents now owning property. I mean, the highest paid law enforcement agent, say the highest paid police officer in the country today would be the Inspector General of Police. So how much does he earn? And would that, with what he earns, should he be able to afford, for instance, a property in the United Arab Emirates or the United Kingdom? So it would be understandable why they would not want to take advantage of that tax initiative.
Exactly, you're very correct, especially if you take into consideration that known Nigerian law enforcement agency suspect own up to 216 properties. 216. I'm not a mathematician, that's why I strayed into law. But that's shocking. And the security sector, we have another category for that. There are 14 of them. They own 71.
So in your findings now, were you able to say pin a name or pin names now to these various properties that you mentioned in your report?
We have names. We have particular persons. We have associates to particular persons identified, but we are not going to put it out in the public space now. But anyone who is really interested in this can also contact the Carnegie Foundation and those who did the primary work in this, like Matthew Page, the groundbreaking scholar who went through the statistic analysis of this work. I've seen the names, but it's beyond my pay grade to publish them.
And I'm very sure in the petition that was sent to the EFCC, those names would be there.
Those names are there. If they need more, we are here. We, as Nigerians, as Nigerian scholars, as Nigerian CSO staff, CSO members, we have an obligation to keep the country safe. We have an obligation to watch the back for the country, and we will not be good citizens if we hide information like this. This is out there, and it's out there. It's a leak. It's not something we leaked ourselves, but we have an obligation to broadcast and make sure that we make the space uncomfortable for those who have been plundering our resources and using it for their private ends, especially where they have no reports of this in their code of conduct declarations.
Going forward now, what would you expect the EFCC to do with the report and the petition that it has received?
In a way, it's an embarrassment, what we call an embarrassment of riches. It's exactly the same thing that happened with the WikiLeaks dumps. It's the same thing that happened with the Panama leaks. You can sustain a career in journalism breaking down this information. You can sustain a career in academics breaking down, and I suppose EFCC officials can occupy the next 10 years of their lives breaking down this information. It's out there. You can establish who are the enablers, who are the family members, because we have the names there, who are buying multiple properties on behalf of their principals. We can know which houses were sold immediately in a way to just launder money, because that's one of the favorite things they do. They buy huge amounts of property and then they sell it immediately and get the money wired back into bank accounts, coming out on the other hand as clean money. So all these kind of dirty, nefarious activities can be followed up, and they should be followed up. We will be, if the EFCC does not follow this up, we will be on their case, because it doesn't get, like I said, it's an embarrassment of riches. The information is out there, and we have a duty to follow it up. Having said that, we all know that the infrastructural deficiencies we have in our official bodies will not make it possible for them to devote all their time to this. But strategic prosecutions must be made. Strategic convictions must be made. And we can do this. We've done it before in Nigeria. Dariye, as we speak, is in prison for grand corruption. We've had a Bori in prison abroad. So it's not new. We just have to put our nose to the grind, make sure we do that which we have to do for the sake of this country and for the sake of the children that we will be bringing into this country in the future.
Now, we know that the United Arab Emirates has become a choice destination, so to speak, for well, so some of these individuals now, politically exposed persons who want to own property abroad, and they want to do it discreetly. Why is the United Arab Emirates suddenly, the go-to place for these politically exposed persons who are seeking to, carry out their illicit activities?
Dubai has become an El Dorado of sorts for the corrupt around the world. It's not just from Nigeria, it's from Ukraine, it's from Angola, the usual suspects. Dubai has turned itself into a receptacle for laundering of undeserved wealth, and that's because it has a huge booming property sector. And beyond property as well, trade-based money laundering is going on in Dubai. We have problems with artisanal gold being sold, melted down and turned into money in Dubai. We have the Malibu scandal money laundered through Dubai, spent in one day buying jets, So yes, the problem with Dubai is the lax regulation, particularly in the so-called free trade zones. The FTZ presents a unique opportunity for money launderers to just dissipate money very quickly. And of course, the property sector makes itself unique for money laundering. If you buy a 1 million dirham, which is their currency, property, you get a right to migrate there with 5 people of your choice. You get more or less everything you want. You can pay in cash so that there's no bank trail. There's so many things. Our research shows that Nigerians particularly are targeted. They're targeted with sales pitches that grant them what we call golden visas. And they tell us that they can get you your money out of Nigeria effortlessly. These things, like we both agreed on, DG, just need to be followed up.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe they need to be followed up. And we'll wait and see what the EFCC does with that report. But just before I let you go, in the course of your investigation, did you, by chance, come across any case that you would say shocked you?
A lot of cases shocked me, particularly the fact that the brazenness with which some of these PEPs buy properties in their names. That, in a sense, shocked me. I would
you mean they were buying in their names? They were not even using proxies?
No, they were buying in their names. They were handling the transactions with their own emails, which can be established. Some of them were using proxies. Some of them bought in their names, even in the UK. We shouldn't leave the UK out of this. The UK is just as what we call impari delecti in law, permit my Latin. I mean, in the UK, we have PEPs that buy properties there, and the Serious Fraud Office, the National Crime Agency, are simply not interested in finding out how a PEP has it.
And why is that for a society that promotes anti-corruption and democracy, transparency? Why would these various agencies you just mentioned now not do their work?
I suppose it's because the model that cities like London, Dubai, New York, Singapore, the model they run is to turn themselves into financial centers. And financial centers, by their very nature, have loose tax regulation, often have secrecy banking involved in their legal architecture. They cover their flag and say, no, London doesn't have secrecy banking. But London sits at the center of a web of secrecy jurisdictions, such as the smaller islands, the Bahamas, the Guernsey, the Gibraltar, and so on and so forth. These all report back to London. These are set out in a sort of neo-colonialist conquering of the world in financial terms, which is just about to get worse with Brexit now, and the need for the UK to make money through other means than it has been by trading with its European partners. So we expect even more trouble in that direction.
Dr. Gbenga Odutuwan, thank you very much for your time and thank you for talking to us. All right, that's how much we can take on the program this week. We thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.